Thank you.
It was fun. It was like personalized course.
Yeah.
There you go.
Beautiful elevator. I just finished reading a book about elevators, The Intuitionist.
Yeah.
About
You know
elevators.
that one?
Yes.
Intuitionist?
What?
The Intuitionist, it's called.
No, I haven't heard
Yeah.
of that, but
It's like,
the elevators after you get used to them are pretty nice. It takes a minute to get used to the not having any buttons, but
Just kind of go and do it.
the bad part is if you forget your elevator card in your office, and
Oh.
you get in the lobby, it's like, oh.
Ah, damn it.
And then you have to get the security guard to bring you back up. And
No
it's a
bueno.
major pain.
All right. Well, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me share, I'll start with our agenda just so we have that up and going. All right. So first things first, we should have just the approval of the November minutes. So let me actually get that pulled up. Were there any issues, anything that anybody wanted to talk about, anything that anybody wanted changed in those minutes?
yeah, no, they look good.
I have a
What?
couple,
Oh, go ahead, Ann.
I had a couple of things. I wasn't there, so I'm reading off what I printed off.
Sure.
And I was just wondering a couple of things, and that was the start date for this challenge.
Yeah.
Did I miss that?
Yeah, that was later on. As far as, so the start date itself, depending on what you mean by the challenge.
The 7-day
so-
challenge?
Yeah, so the 7-day challenge itself, the start date we have set as let me zoom in here. The start date itself is what we have is May 1st through May 7th. We can adjust that slightly. I think that's a Wednesday, so we could probably adjust that down to the 6th. I was just putting in general dates when I was putting this in. But the reason I chose May was basically, it's a little bit warmer, it's a little bit nicer. We're trying to be a little bit more hospitable to the policymakers that might be willing to step up and do this, but just kind of be a little bit friendlier to that. But yeah, so as far as the start date is concerned, that's kind of roughly what we are going at. And then the petition gathering process, which is that is January 16th through April 16th. So 3 months from there is kind of what we're looking at. And
the 7-day challenge for the policymakers, I guess, or for anybody, is that going to be a 24/7 use mass transit?
I mean, that's the goal. It's you use the system for 7 days. That's what we shoot for. Do I think that everybody will be able to do it? No, I don't think they will, to be perfectly honest with you. But kind of that's also part of the point, right? Is we're going to be doing some pre-training with that. And I've already actually started talking with UTA about what that would look like. But kind of prep them for the fact, like, yeah, it can be difficult sometimes for people to be able to get in and be able to do what they need to do. So yeah, that's part of the thing. But the ideal is, yes, 7 days of transit, Sunday or Monday, or Monday through Sunday.
Yeah, whether you're going to the grocery store or not, kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And then just another question. Chris noted that he has the ability to appoint an individual to the board. So if there's a person that's interested in sitting on the board, let Chris or Curtis or Chris know. I was just wondering how many people are on the board and what's the capacity of the board?
So the capacity of the board is 9 as it currently stands. Right now we have 7. 7, yes.
Are you sure? Because didn't you add me?
We added you, but that's because we lost one.
Yeah, there was 9.
Yes, and we have, let's see. Hold on, I guess I can answer this pretty quick.
Math is tough.
Math is tough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I'm sorry, we have 8. And then Chris has the 9th slot, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have not heard from Michael in some time. I've tried reaching out to him. I can try reaching out again. He may no longer be involved. I'm not sure. That would require a motion on the part of the board. I wouldn't be prepared to make that motion at this point, but yeah, I haven't heard from him in some time, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That's why I said 7 is where my brain went. But yeah, technically we have 8 board members currently seated, and Chris has that seated, and then Chris has that one additional appointment that he can make.
Okay, and just why are you non-voting?
Because I'm not a board member. As the executive director, I do not have a vote.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But he takes care of stuff.
Yeah, he does. And just to let you know, I don't walk in the dark by myself, so I won't be there in person until it's lighter later in the day.
Okay. No, that's good to know. Yeah, it's just an issue of timing, but we'll look forward to seeing you in the summer, or at least spring.
Yeah.
There we go. So, okay. Any other questions about the minutes?
Do you want to just add to the open forum if we're not discussing it in the agenda item about the 7-day challenge?
Yeah.
So we can discuss that further there.
Scroll down there. Where are we? Here we go. Okay.
Okay, well, I move we accept the minutes as amended.
I second that motion.
Yeah. It wasn't amended, so it's just as is, but yeah.
Did we add some comment to it or no?
No, I don't think we had a comment.
Okay, so I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Chris, I assume you second? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds good. Move on to the next item, Executive Director Activity Reports. Let me get that pulled up. Too many windows. So, short Thanksgiving / Christmas / everything else. I didn't get as much done. I'll be perfectly honest with you. 13.75 hours since we last met. In that time, mostly published the December newsletter. Did get a bike rack blog post put out for UTA. They are actually piloting a new set of bike racks on Frontrunner, and they've asked us to kind of help out with getting the word out on that. So far, they've test piloted just on one car, on one train car. You do a little QA code and fill out a form. But yeah, they've asked us to kind of help out with that. So I'll kind of be pushing that out a little bit more as well, just as a heads up. Also, Rowan, your article today was actually very timely. I had a meeting with UTA about they're piloting a Tracks ambassador program, specifically similar to the train. Blanking on the word. The train host. Thank you. The train host that they have on Frontrunner. They wanted to pilot something very similar on the Blue Line specifically within Salt Lake City, and so within the Salt Lake City boundaries. So from Central all the way down to 2100 South. They basically want to have train hosts, but for tracks, and specifically on the Blue Line. And so they are looking at rolling that program out. They don't have a specific hard deadline or hard start time, but they're hoping to get it rolled out within the next month or two. The idea being that 1 to 2 UTA employees, they will have vests that say, Tracks Ambassador. And they do. They play a very similar role to the ambassador, to the train hosts. They're going to hop in between train cars, help people with their routing, deal with situations as they arise, and just kind of be there in a yes, if something happens, they will be able to assist, but kind of in that non-police force sort of a fashion. To kind of help address some of the safety issues that we've been talking about. Now, obviously, we're not talking about buses. That's something else. But at least it's something that they're trying to address for safety, just passenger safety, hopefully that they spill out as well. So
those incident reports involve trains and tracks as well. Have they hired these people yet, or are they going to deputize them from the workforce?
It's my understanding it's a little bit of both. It's like I said, it's a pilot program, and so they are looking to have
a person on each train, at least on the blue line. So not in each car, but in each train, pretty much throughout the day on the system, hopping in and out at each stop, going up and down, kind of helping out. And so I think they said it was, 25 to 30 full-time employees hopping around doing that. So they're actively in training now. They've been pulling in their resources as far as working with the train host to help out. They've also been reaching out to community members that, like the United Way, for helping to provide services to individuals that might be in crisis. So that'll be an interesting kind of, that's something the train hosts don't necessarily do, that the Blue Line might be able to do. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting program that it sounds like they're rolling out. And so as they start to get a little bit closer, they do want to do it sooner rather than later. I think they said mid-January to mid-February is when they'd like to actually have these people on the trains. And from there, they again want us, amongst other organizations, to assist with kind of getting the word out. And hey, here are these people, and here's why. Do you think it's a valuable program? And
one question: are UTA employees allowed to be members of the union or union?
Our union, yeah. There's no reason why they couldn't be.
We did have one.
Yeah, we actually had one board member.
It seems to me that it might be interesting to at least advertise to the chapters and other people, the younger people, these jobs might be available and maybe help them.
Yeah.
So that we would have representatives.
Do you think they would let our members join or be a host if they?
I don't see why they wouldn't. Megan, the UTA kind of outreach person, she's looking for anybody and everybody. Well, not anybody and everybody, but she's definitely looking for people to help fill these roles.
What do they pay?
I don't know.
So I think we should double check that and ask.
Sure.
Then you can put out an announcement to our members that says if you want to be a
Yeah.
train host, you can do it.
Yeah, I can definitely do
A
that.
double agent.
Not even a double agent, just an agent.
And I think, I mean, our people are motivated to
Absolutely.
help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Should do that once in a
I
while.
just think it would be an objective way of finding out what's happening. They wouldn't be beholden to the UTA necessarily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Sophia Dunstan, she's actually the head of UTRU Students, our chapter, and she is a train host, for example. So it's not unheard of, right? We do have UTA. Bree, she was a former board member and currently works with UTA. So yeah, there's no reason why they couldn't. Yeah, so I can certainly get those details. Once Megan kind of gets those to me, I'll ask, but I don't think that they'd have any problem whatsoever getting that information out. So
They specifically state the reason for doing this. I mean, we know the reason, but did they discuss the severity of the problem they're trying to address?
I mean, they danced around it a little bit, but they were definitely like, hey, we want to address the situation. They chose the Blue Line because it seems to have the most issues, although, I mean, it's
How did they describe the situation, if I could ask?
I mean, they just said that, they didn't go into a lot of detail, but they basically said, we want to make sure that, like the front runner, there's a lot of intermixing of people and it's causing conflicts. And they did mention 2100 South specifically in that station being a area of, what do they call it? Something like an area of high tension or something like that. But basically the idea was they're wanting to address the safety issues. This was one of the things that they felt would be easily deployable. And the other reason that they've chosen the Salt Lake City area specifically is the city is kicking in some funds to help out with this. And
it's probably a lot cheaper than having the police.
It's cheaper.
And it's less stressful.
It's cheaper. It is less stressful. And frankly, a lot of times officers don't help situations compared to like an employee. Yeah. It's just a different attitude. It's a different way that people approach it. And they've also said that other transit agencies across the country have been deploying similar strategies. It's kind of the new thing that people are doing. And other agencies are seeing success. I can tell you that in talking with other transit unions across the country, they've been advocating for stuff like this, and they've seen successes on their systems. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that we should be supportive of, and we should be do it more, do it everywhere.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but anyway, so that was a meeting I had with UTA. The other thing I'm working on is I'm calling it the EAT website. So 7-day challenge. I know I mentioned this yesterday, or not yesterday. I know I mentioned this during the last meeting. The 7-day challenge I felt was too small for what we were trying to do. And so I didn't mean to name it this, but it is because it's everywhere all the time. I'm calling it the EAT initiative. I just stumbled on that. And so I've started to build out the website a little bit. I think I have it further down in the agenda, so I'm not going to go over it right now. But also working on our policymaker list. I know I put out a call as well for a little bit of assistance on that. It's just a big list. If I can get some help, it'd be great. I can get it done, but yeah, that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, upcoming activities, the biggest thing is continuing to work on the EAT program. Metrics by the number. I know I mentioned this and I expanded it out last time, but just adding a little bit more to what we've been doing. So yeah, Twitter, we actually lost 2. This is the first time we've ever had a drop, but our current count is 876. Facebook 960, TikTok and YouTube remain the same. General membership went up 3. Mailing list is holding steady at 47. Well, actually, I didn't include it last one, so I don't know, but it's at 47 currently. Students, South Salt Lake, both are holding the same. Cache Valley went up 1 to 6. Donors went up 4 to 11 currently. And so I can tell you right now, like Twitter and Facebook, I haven't had an opportunity to be super active on social media, which is probably part of the reason for the drop. It's just, yeah, the holidays have been difficult for me personally, not like difficult, but just hard to get a lot of stuff done. So I haven't been super active on social media lately. But yeah, so those are by the numbers as far as what we have there. And that's kind of my wrap up. So are there any questions about anything?
Yeah, can we go back
Yeah,
to the
I have a
policy?
question.
Oh,
Go ahead, Ann.
and go ahead first.
Well, I guess my biggest question is you've said more than once while you were talking about getting the word out. How do
Yeah.
you do that?
As far as
Anything? I mean, like, do you have handouts? Do you have, does the word only go out to the choir?
So, I mean, depending on the nature of what it is, we've got our mailing list, we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook. Depending on what it is, we have not traditionally, but we certainly can start sending out things as far as press releases are concerned. That's certainly the plan as far as EAT is concerned.
Mostly social media.
Yeah, social media is the primary way, to be perfectly honest with you. That's the primary way that we get things out into the world. Just because it's free, to be perfectly honest. We don't really do any advertising, but that's what we do there. Where possible, we do try to get op-eds out there. Now we have board members that also do that just on their own behalf and get their name included. But yeah, that's some of the things that we do.
I should say that you asked me to put together a media list, which I'm in the process of doing. So we'll have a media contact list if you want.
Great. And so, yeah, depending on the nature of what it is, like I'm not going to send everything on the media list because that's a good way to just get completely ignored.
Mhm.
But, certainly depending on the nature of what it is, like 7-day challenge, the EAT stuff, like, yes, that would definitely be press releasable. And so, yeah, it just depends on the nature of what we're trying to get out into the world.
And television?
We do not do television.
Okay,
We can't
PBS.
afford
Well,
Man.
PBS, no,
Well,
I'm not
this-
talking.
yeah,
I'm
if we
talking about
had
a
the
news
money, that'd be
story.
great.
Sorry, go ahead, Ann.
Go ahead and everybody talk.
No, go ahead, Ann.
What about a news story? I'm not talking about advertising and paying for an advertisement. I'm talking about a news story covered by the stations, especially it seems like Fox is usually our local station. And plus PBS does a free for nonprofits every night.
Sure. I mean, I have not explored that, to be perfectly honest with you. Also, we need to make sure that we have things that are worth being on television, right? And so that's why I think like this 7-day challenge and EAT in general, I think would get us at least some press as far as wider ranging. But as far as just a monthly newsletter, that's not going to get us televised. So it just depends on the nature of what we're trying to get out more than anything.
Okay.
But yes.
Fox 13 might be a good one. They do have, is it them and Gino who's working on like zero fatality stuff? There's a lot of roadway or transportation oriented discussion there. I can't remember.
I thought it was Channel 2.
Channel 2 talking about that. It was one of the
Yeah.
news channels kind of has a focus on transportation.
Sure.
Morbidity, mortality. So
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly look into that. I have not, to be perfectly honest with you.
we could see if PBS is interested in a story when it's a little bit more moved along on the van pools.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how far out they film. It's usually, when I've done it, it's been, within a week or so
Okay.
from when they tape the interview.
Yeah, you want to be ready you want to have something ready.
Yeah.
That's nicely packaged.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
want to go back to the policymaker list.
Yeah, let me get that pulled up.
How many policymakers? How big is this list? And
It's pretty big. So here's what I've put together so far, 127 names, 126 actually. And I haven't even finished Cache Valley. So the idea is I've identified every city that is within the catchment area of the transit districts that we have across the state. I basically identifying mayors, council members, planning commission members. If there's a city planner, I'm throwing that on there. I've also got councils, like county councils on there. I'm going to throw in state legislators, so House members, Senate members, members of the Senate. Those are pretty easy to catch, but roughly you can figure 5 to 7 members of the elected government of any particular city. Throw in another 5 to 7 for a planning commission. So you're talking roughly 15 per city. Roughly, I think that there were, 45, 50? Actually, I think it was 60. 90. There you go. I think I was thinking of just there. Cities that still need to be filled in. So, we're talking a good number here. And that doesn't include the county councils as well and state legislatures. So easily 90 times 15, 900,000,
you're doing reach out to them, as in talking to them about UTRU, UTA, transit.
So the plan is going to be just an initial kind of email to them saying, hey, this is something that we're doing, possibly following that up with a letter. So introduction, email, this is something that we want to work on. As we're gathering the petitions, we will follow up and say, hey, remember this thing I sent out to you a little while back? Well, X number of citizens in your area have specifically said, yes, this is something that they care about. We hope you join us in doing the 7-day challenge. Specifically, will you join us in doing this? If so, I'd be happy to teach you how to use the system if you're not familiar. UTA, I've also started conversations with them about travel training and possibly even giving us free passes, 7-day weekly passes for these policymakers so that they don't even have to worry about that. I'm trying to remove as many barriers as possible because I'm trying to get them on the system. That's kind of the idea. That's kind of the thinking. So it's a couple steps of process. Just kind of introduction. Here's who we are as UTRU. Here's how you can learn more. All that sort of stuff.
We've got now 7, 8 board members.
8.
Perhaps we want to have that be a monthly activity for us as board members to reach out, maybe 3 to 5, and you could send us the email template.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We could take 3 to 5 off that list each.
Yeah.
Does that sound reasonable to the members of the board?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you it's not hard work. It's really, you just, Google, Lewiston City, Utah. You go to the website, find government, and you just kind of punch it in there. And yeah, just kind of go through. So yeah, I can send this out and start assigning. That would be helpful. Because yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But
It'd be a good way. It'd be a good activity, I think, for the board members as well.
So I would appreciate
Get our
that
feet wet.
for sure. Okay. Are there any other questions about my activities? What I've been up to? Okay.
We'll talk about 7-day challenge a little later.
Yes, I've got that later in the agenda. Okay. Well then, moving on. Let's go back over here. Moving on to the next agenda item. So we did an intro of board members last time with Bill. Now that we have both Roan and Ann on the line, I kind of gave brief overviews from both of our meetings that we had respectively, but I did want to give both of you all an opportunity to just kind of introduce yourself to the board as yourself in your own voice, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, why. Well, actually, Roan, you did get the opportunity to do it, so I apologize. Yeah. This was an earlier email. So, Ann, I guess it's just you. Like I said, I kind of gave a brief overview of our meeting that we had. But yeah, if you want to take just a minute or two and introduce yourself and tell the board who you are and why you're part of UTRU.
Okay. I'm Ann Hopkins, and to tell you the truth, I have no idea what I signed up for when I started getting emails. I don't know if it was off of Facebook. Anyway, I started getting emails, and then got the email about the meeting in October, and I had really no intention of putting my name out there, but when I saw the makeup of the board, I thought we need a little bit of diversity on this board. And so here I am. I'm a graduate of the University of Utah, but I didn't start at the university till I was 35 years old. And so I'm one of those, what do they call it? Displaced homemakers, I think at the time was the term. And I've worked for nonprofits, worked for, volunteered for with the American Red Cross, worked for Easter Seals, worked at the YWCA, worked at St. Joseph Villa, worked for the county, taught water aerobics classes for them, very part-time. And, lots of time in all those different places. I've done presentations all over the United States on my work nationally, lots of television interviews and stuff like that. And my job was at the last job, the longest job, was with St. Joseph Villa doing an intergenerational day center. My master's is in gerontology, and because I love old farts, and I guess it's a good thing because I am one now. And we had fragile adults in the same building, not in the same space, but in the same building as children from 6 weeks old up to going into kindergarten. And they interacted with each other during the day, and it was fun until the villa sold their interest to. It used to be out of Houston, Texas, and now it's out of California, I think. And that's about it.
Great. Well, fantastic. And yeah, you're in Sugar House, is that correct?
Yes, I live in Sugar House, and they're going to start construction again on January 2nd, road construction.
Fun times. Fun times.
When did they stop?
Yeah. They stopped at the intersection of 21st and Highland Drive just around Thanksgiving.
I know that they've had a lot of detours around in Sugar House, especially on the 220. I never can figure out where that's going to go.
Yeah. Well, they put up road construction signs again at 17th South heading north today.
Well, strap it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Ann. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, cool. Well, great. Let's go ahead and dive in. I did have the 7-day challenge / eat, whatever we're calling it. One of the open questions that we had kind of at the last meeting was, yeah, you got in on the last one. So we should be good there. Unless you want to add more. Yeah. So one of the open questions that we had during the last meeting was we kind of got stuck a little bit on verbiage and what the petition would look like and all of that sort of stuff. So I've kind of taken that and came up with a few ideas that I wanted to kind of put around. We can edit this, we can talk about this, but this is some of the ideas that I put together. So first of all, well, actually, I'm actually want to start here first. Let me take that back. So this is the EAT website that I just kind of put together. Obviously, we'll clean it up, expand it a little bit, but I'm picturing kind of a three-parter as far as the website is concerned. So I might move some things around a little bit, but starting off with like the Be Heard, sign the petition. We have that just right up front. We'll talk about that in a minute. The vision, talking about Transit Imagined. What is Transit Imagined? A little bit. Click here to follow the link. And then true representation, talking about the 7-day challenge. UTRU feels that policymakers should use the systems that the people of Utah depend on every day. That's why we're calling on decision makers at the local, county, and state level to participate in the 7-day challenge. UTRU will teach these willing volunteers to use transit within their communities and ask them to use their local systems for 7 days and then provide their feedback on if they feel the system effectively met the needs and their needs, and what improvements they would like to see. During these discussions, we will also include the benefits of a robust transportation system, not just for transit riders themselves, increased economic activity, connecting employers with a larger pool of employees, so on and so forth. The challenge will begin on X day, and then following representatives have already agreed to participate, right? And then we'll just kind of have that information down there. I'll throw in a donation button as well. We've already got the sign up over here on the side, but this is kind of the landing page that I'm picturing for the EAT program. We'll put this on the front page. It'll also be there so that we can have easy access. We'll also have contact information, how to get a hold of us for the questions. But any thoughts, ideas, things that you think should go on just the general landing page that I might be missing? Chew on it. This is currently hidden, so you can't find it. But if you want to get screenshots or something, I'd be able to put it out there. But yeah, this is kind of the idea of what I'm putting out there.
What does the petition say?
Now I'll get to that in a second.
Oh,
it says lorem ipsum dorem sit amit. I mean,
it's lorem ipsum. That's all it is. So let's go ahead and talk about the petition. So this is what will be in that petition spot. Obviously, depending on what we want to do here, but basically background. So historically, the state of Utah does not fund public transit, and when it does, they are one-time funds for capital projects such as light rail and front runner, as was the case in 2013. Even in these situations, transit agencies are required to take on debts to complete the project the state approves, making it harder for these agencies to expand and maintain other forms of service such as bus routes. The state has not provided support for day-to-day transit operations. This, despite the fact that more than 6 out of every 10 Utahns live in a community currently served by one of Utah's 7 transit districts. Add your name to the growing number of Utahns calling upon the state legislature to, that's where we start getting into this, and we'll talk about that in a second, but whatever it is, we'll talk about. And we have the petition form itself, first name, last name, address, city, state, zip, email address, and then the membership question as well. We'll throw in a donation link at the bottom, and we'll call it there. So that's the actual form that they will fill out as that. So let's talk about what we're asking the legislature to do. First of all, are we asking the legislature to do that? That's probably, I think that's the most obvious question. I've kind of built this around the fact that the state is not funding transportation departments, assuming that that is our ask. Option 1 was kind of the most basic. Commit a portion of the Utah Department of Transportation, UDOT's annual budget specifically towards ongoing support of Utah's 7 public transit systems. Short, sweet, to the point. Option 2A, commit a portion of the Utah Department of Transportation, UDOT's annual budget by allowing the Transit Transportation Investment Fund, and I provide a link there, to fund ongoing operation for Utah's 7 public transit systems. This fund currently exists. It is primarily for things like buying a new bus, right? Or upgrading a train. But it is not for ongoing operations. It is one-time funds. So we would probably need to spend some time on education as far as what that is, which we can certainly do, and that's not a problem. Option 2, it goes into the weeds a little bit more. Increase one or more of the following taxes and use those funds specifically towards ongoing support of Utah's 7 public transportation system, sales and use tax, oil, severance tax, motor vehicle registration fees, other motor registration fees, links, provide links, and then i.e. what those are, secondary residential property taxes. The reason I decided to go with secondary, and we don't have to, because I know that this was a hot touch point during the discussion last time. I think that secondary residential properties, so people who have a summer home or a winter home, I don't think you'd run into as much controversy there. Again, we don't have to do that. 2A was just to drop property taxes entirely. 2B would be include specific percentages and dollar amounts. We could provide this, or we can provide this on the general website page just overall. And then option 3 is similar. It is kind of a hybrid of the first and second. Commit a portion of the Utah Department of Education, specifically towards the 7 increasing one or more following taxes. Oh, I meant to include the part where this is from the from that specific transportation investment fund. So those were the ideas that I came up with. What are our thoughts? What do we want to go with? What would we like to do?
So, Curtis?
Yeah.
I think that I think once you've spelled this out a bit, I think my feeling is that we try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So in other words, I think my original feeling was that, this should be open to everything, right? Everything. We don't exclude property tax, we don't exclude sales tax. But really what that comes down to is that we basically just have to do, I think, what option 1, or I don't know if maybe there's a hybrid. Maybe what this is we talk about committing a portion of just general funds specifically towards ongoing support of the 7 public transit systems. But I'm not sure how that is actually should be worded, but something to the effect that it's just simple, it's short, it invites discussion about how we actually get there. Because that was one of the, that was one of the sticking points that I had, that if we specifically say we want 1%, well, why not 2%? Why not raise it 3%? And so, for the ongoing sales tax funding. So I think that would be my concern, and maybe not even the general fund. I mean, I don't know how to specifically word
Utah's
that, because
budget?
Yeah, maybe Utah's budget.
Yeah.
Because certainly, there's an argument to be made that it should come from the UDOT budget. But then there's arguments from, legislators are going to say, well, it's something that's traditionally been done by sales tax. But I think, yeah, basically commit a portion of Utah's annual budget specifically towards ongoing support of Utah's 7 public. I like that, to be honest with you. It's succinct. It's not putting us into a hole where we had that discussion about property tax. And sales tax, I guess, it could also be considered part of the annual budget because there are other items that go to the budget or to pay for things out of the sales tax.
I think that even suggesting raising taxes, period, is a big mistake. A lot of people, that will definitely turn them off. They're just talking right now about eliminating tax on food and things like that. And then to turn around and ask for an increase, I think is wrong. I think what Chris said, kind of more a general statement for the budget, is a better idea. Christopher, sorry.
Christopher, hey you, butthead will work in a pinch, whatever.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, ideas? I'm personally a fan of going vague as well. It doesn't commit us to anything in particular. It just gets us out there.
Yeah, I definitely think attaching it to an increase in something is not a good idea, but just state funding, there's plenty of money in there.
Let them figure it out.
And UDOT has stated over and over and over again that their purpose of being is not to create roads, it's to create transportation and move people. And so this is one of the ways they can do that. So I don't know. I've always been confused a little bit by why UTA and UDOT have separate, are so separate.
It's a whole thing.
Are you planning to structure this in ranked choice so people can express their preferences rather than dichotomize?
Well, so at this point, how it would go is just add your name to the growing number of Utahns calling upon the state legislature to commit a portion of Utah's annual budget specifically towards ongoing support to the Utah's 7 transportation systems, and that's it. And then they'd sign the petition form, and that'd be it.
Okay.
So
there's no figuring out preference.
No preference, no ranking. You are just saying, I commit to this thing, or I think that this is a good thing. I support this idea. At this point, that's what it would say. So is that kind of what it sounds like we're agreeing on? We're falling down on? We're falling in line around?
Yeah.
Yes.
In my opinion.
That's kind of the impression I'm getting as well.
Yeah. Curtis, it's Bill. I think having spent 2 Saturdays ago down at the Utah Government Trust Building for a 5-hour session from the League of Cities and Towns on government and relationship with municipalities with the state. I think we stay vague. Let those folks in the state legislature figure out where they're gonna magic the money from, right? I think that's probably in our best interest at this point to stay vague.
Okay. So yeah, I'd agree. So basically, this is what it would look like then. This is what the petition would look like. Just a little bit of background. Did I have anything down here? Oh, and then this portion too. Well, maybe if we want to keep that, or maybe I'll put it somewhere else on the website. But probably I'll put it somewhere else on that actual website. But yeah, background, here's what it is. Sign your name. And then, yeah, do you want to be a member as well? So if that's what we're kind of landed on, I will continue to build out the website a little bit more. I mostly just kind of want to come up with a proof of concept for y'all to kind of get an idea. But yeah, we'll have that up front. We'll obviously have it. I will also create just like sign the petition right now, and I'll put that on the front page and all of that good stuff. And then we can start the media blitz and all of those sorts of things as well, and get that up and going. In the meantime, we will also be building and connecting, making those connections with the policymakers, like making them aware. I do like the idea of like, here's the people that have already committed, just to kind of add that pressure. But yeah, that's where we're at on the 7-day challenge, the EAT, I should say. I guess
gosh, I want to throw up every time I hear that, but
we could call it treat, TREAT. We could call it treat if you want.
I don't know. It just that's like.
But yeah. So are there any other thoughts, ideas, suggestions, comments on that?
When would you roll this out?
So this is scheduled to start rolling out at the start of the legislative session, which is January 16th.
Okay.
So coming up quick, about a
Yeah.
month. Okay. All right. I think the next item is just open forum or chapter update. I don't think we have any chapter heads on, do we? I don't think we do. The only update I am aware of, two, I know that Cache Valley had their first formal meeting. Apparently it went very well. Just waiting to get some extra signatures and membership information. Oh yes. I'll give that over to you for the open forum. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask real quick. I'll do it in the forum. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So yeah, Cache Valley had their first meeting. Apparently it went pretty well. I'm just going to get a couple more names to add to our list. But yeah, that seemed to be going well. Also in the Logan area, Alex Fielder is also working to set up the Utah State chapter for UTRU students. So that is also chugging along pretty well. So that's going well. Yeah, I haven't heard from South Salt Lake in a minute. I reached out probably a couple days ago, but it's been a touch. So I will try to reconnect with Clayton over there on that front. So now I think we are in the open forum. Yes, so open forum.
Yeah. So I know Bill just kind of popped out, but you won your election. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah, I'm still here. Hang on, sorry.
That's all right.
Actually, yes, I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. The canvas was back on December 5th. Made it official, so I'm council person elect, and the swearing in will be on Wednesday, January 3rd at 4 p.m.
Woohoo!
Oh, great.
You excited? You're the dog that caught the car.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to get up to speed quickly on the politics behind everything that's going on in front of council right now. So it's a bit of a if I were back east on the coast, I'd call it a rat's nest, which is what you get when your fishing line on spools and gets all tangled up. So
yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. At that League of Cities and Towns event that I was at 2 Saturdays ago, I got a chance actually to introduce myself and ended up having like about a 10-minute conversation with Michelle Kafusi, the mayor of Provo. I know they're pretty proud of their bus system there. So hopefully I have some opportunities. I'm going to try to get on our legislative committee here in Park City. We have a council liaison that works with the mayor and the city manager to kind of call on state legislators. So I'm trying to finagle myself into that situation as well, so I can, get a little more access.
Yep, that sounds good. Things are all coming together. Yep. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
I wanted to add on the 7-day challenge.
Yeah.
Do we have a list of the top companies that buy, purchase, or support the UTA? Like some, big corporate sponsors, like the ones who have free passes for their employees.
We don't, but I wonder if I could get that. Yeah, I could certainly ask and find out.
I'm thinking it may be worthwhile to ask leadership at those companies
Yeah,
to join the 7-day challenge.
Couldn't be a
They
bad
can get
idea.
an idea of two reasons. One, they get an idea of what their employees are going through. Some of them is a checkbox to say, oh, we support transit,
sure.
and whether or not people actually use it or what their experience is sometimes lost on leadership, and it helps to get them down there. And then two, potential sponsors for UTRU.
Yeah,
Policymakers can't write checks necessarily.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's like LDS Church, obviously University of Utah is a big one, Rocky Mountain Power, Zion's Bank.
Westminster.
Intermountain
Yeah.
Health.
Oh yeah, IHC.
Yeah, no, had a separate presentation at the Wasatch Front Regional Council where it was like a breakdown of all of the fairs and all of that sort of stuff, including those types of things. And I wanted to say they said something that UTA specifically, I think it was, they do it on a tier system, obviously. But I wanted to say that like the highest tier, I wanted to say that there was like 60 of like the highest tier that just do all of that. And then below that, it was something like 600 to 750 companies that have some form of like major subsidy. And then there are minor subsidies, and that's in the thousands. So it'd be a big list, and obviously we wouldn't necessarily go to all of those, but
That's our donor list.
yeah, it is. I don't know how, well, I can reach out. It doesn't hurt to ask, I suppose.
Let's get that list.
Yeah. I can throw that on my to-do. Yeah, doesn't hurt to ask.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's the end of the year.
It is the end of the year.
So finance-wise, this is the last moment that people have for deductions, right?
Mhm.
So we should all think about, one, donating ourselves if we're able to, but two, reach out by the next meeting, perhaps, to 3 friends and ask for donations.
Yes.
Sound like good board member activities, everybody?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't have any more friends, John.
Chris, you've done a pretty good job. Yeah.
It's
Chris,
me-
you've
it's
done,
just me and the dog. That's all there is now, just me and the dog.
I'll confess, my accountant told me I have room to donate, so I will
Yeah,
also be writing a check.
all right. Reach out. We are a 501c3, which means it is tax deductible.
We could use the dog, actually, Chris.
We
We
could
could
turn,
say, either donate or we'll lose this dog.
oh no.
We got a dog.
Emotional appeal is what you need.
Hey, we've got a dog in this fight.
Oh,
Yes, so, a couple board member activities. One, Curtis, send out
Yes.
the policymaker, just assign us some to reach out to, so we can get our feet wet a little bit with that. And then two, talk to 3 friends, and then let's see what we can rustle up for some funds.
That'd be great.
Yeah. We don't get, nothing happens without good old Benjamin Franklin.
Got to keep the lights on, that's for sure. Okay. Anything else for open forum? Yeah.
Well, I was curious, in your article, you talked about the indigent passes that they're coming up
Yeah, that
with.
was interesting. I didn't know
What,
about that.
what is that? Is it just if somebody doesn't want to pay their fare, that bus driver can give them a voucher or what?
No, and I think the transit agency identifies populations that are indigent
Yeah.
and issues them very official looking free passes that are plastic, and it sort of gives them an identity, but also allows them to go right through the fare box, which is where most of these conflicts take place.
Okay.
And I don't know, I've only been told that this has been done in some districts. I don't know which ones, and just told that it's been successful some places. So I don't know much beyond that. Just seems to
really
me
don't
that-
want to increase that ridership on the tracks necessarily, but I don't know.
Well, I
mean,
think if you identify the right populations, I mean, you're not going
Yeah.
to just go drop them into random people's paws, but, there are families and other
Oh, yeah.
who could use it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it would take social service agency to identify them. But I kind of like the idea of having having, losing the embarrassment of having to pay or to do something else and having an official card, and to avoid this confrontation at the fare box, which seems,
Yeah.
It does cause problems, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting, Ron. Somebody on the comments section of your letter basically said, well, why not just make the system free? Which, I mean, we've talked about that before, and obviously it's not going to happen overnight. But I think this is one issue that kind of creates this. We're creating. In some ways, we create the problem by forcing people who don't have money to pay, when if the entire system was free, these people would just walk on the bus, there wouldn't be any problems, there'd be no confrontations, and then it would be done. But this idea of an indigent card sounds really, really good. And I think it's something we've kind of talked about in the past, like way past, is that if we were able to get that's something we could sponsor, right? So if they have X amount of cards, this is something that in the future we could say, okay, we're gonna donate a portion of the money we collect to buy indigent passes for people that don't have them, or people who need the ride.
and
So yeah, I think that's great. If anybody wants to hear a podcast about the free fare argument, Freakonomics
Yeah.
did a really good program on that. They've done 3 or 4 of them. So just go online and search for that.
I believe the governor's budget actually mentioned that. I think it said something about free fare, as I recall. I was skimming through it. I can't recall. I thought I saw something in there now that it was brought up. If it'll pull up. But that might be something that we want to talk about. Yes, I know that we've had a discussion back and forth about free fare in general. But I think at the very least we can get on board with this particular form of free fare, if this will pull up. But
I think it takes, I mean, the problem with free fare is it's free for everybody, and then people use the transportation system for things, just to stay warm. But
So they've addressed that before.
right. But what I'm saying is that if you make it, people have a little bit of an effort to apply for and get something, then they've committed themselves one way or another, and then it's a response. It's just an additional connection with society that involves some of their own effort.
yeah.
Well,
and I know UTA currently has reduced fare,
Right.
so it's not as if it's entirely.
Well, and how many times have you seen drivers refuse passengers?
Yeah.
Very seldom.
So.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask about that's been in the news is the extension for the Granary District
Yes.
tracks line. Has anybody heard anything about that? I think it was associated with Olympics prep or something.
Well, they've been discussing this for quite some time. The problem is the bottleneck at Main and Fourth South with the trains, the red line specifically turning to go up. It's a bottleneck, and so one of the solutions is to bypass. And I forget where it's at. I think it's right after 9th South, to where they have a tracks that comes up to 4th South and then up along 4th South into the city. But it also would connect to the basically it would bypass the downtown area. So in other words, the green line could go there. The red line, instead of going straight up Main, would go up this extension and then hang a right. But what it also does is it also gives the ability to operate another line. They've called this the black line before, but I think right now they're looking at calling it the orange line. But basically, there would be a airport to university route that would run along there too, and it would kind of bypass going directly downtown like it does now. But again, they've been looking at this for at least 10 years. When this was first proposed 10 years ago, I was like, yeah, that's something that has to be done. Well, now it's getting into it's critical. It's a critical component of the transit system to be able to do this extension, because it does the service does slow down. You do have 3 trains right now using Main Street, and that anybody who's tried to drive a car along Fourth South or down Main Street when the trains are running when they're not running on time, it's a nightmare. It's hard to keep traffic. I mean, you'll wait there at Fourth South and Main for a long time. So again, what they're looking at right now is they're looking at getting input from citizens as far as, and this is kind of where they're at right now, is people to talk about it, talk about what they like about it, what they don't like about it, so that they can get kind of a better idea of what's actually going to work. And I think that there are actually 3 different concepts, as far as where to run the tracks, how to run the trains. But I mean, effectively, they started talking about it in conjunction of the Olympics, kind of hopefully to get some of the legislators who are like, we don't need trains, we don't need transit. And so they're talking about it now as something that when the Olympics come back, it is something that will definitely help move people around a lot better than it did last time.
Well, there is a serious effort to try and close down Main Street to car traffic again. So that's going on too.
Yeah, and I'm certainly not opposed to that either, because I mean, again, if you've tried to drive, it's been years since I've driven down Main Street, but when I tried it the last time, I was like, it's not the same anymore. You can't. There's too many lights, there's too many trains, there's too many cars, and so I would be completely in favor of turning Main Street into a pure pedestrian mall.
So,
Well, do we want to maybe put together a formal opinion on that, or do we want to hold off?
On the tracks portion?
Yeah.
I mean,
on any of the options.
I mean, that's part of that's part of the problem, is that they're all good options, but I think the one that I would be most favorable for is that scenario that you've got pulled up right there.
yeah, because they're just trying to activate that central station.
Yeah.
I've seen several articles that call that an ill-conceived location.
It really is, but
So
there's a lot of development that they want to do around there as well. So we can certainly do that as well, if we want to. I think we have more time on that than something else, but I don't know what the public comment period is on this. But
Yeah, what are just really quickly go through the other scenarios that are there.
So this is the downtown, or this is the Building Salt Lake article. Oh, here we go.
oh yeah, that's what it was, Building Salt Lake.
Yeah, so let's see. So this was scenario 1. You can see orange line kind of snakes around out to the airport. Red line hooks a left along. This is actually, well, it's at least they've got the right of way. Hooks along, but the red line hangs a left and then heads south, but doesn't actually cut through.
So that's the granary that it's going.
Yes, hooks through the granary. So it goes through the granary in all of the scenarios. This one, though, orange line hangs a right on 4th South, but doesn't actually connect with City Center, or Central, excuse me. And then the third scenario basically is the green line just doesn't connect with the U, but there is an orange line that would connect with the U. Green line hooks in and heads south to West Valley. So those are the 3.
Yeah, and like I said, if I were to vote, if I was a voting person, I'd vote for scenario 1.
Yeah.
It just seems to me the most logical, full 4th South And it does a couple things. Obviously, this connects directly front runner directly to the university on a tracks line. As opposed to the other scenarios where it's like you got to walk a block. I mean, it's okay. I don't have a problem walking a block to pick up a train or a bus. But the people that are going to be wanting to use this, get off at Salt Lake, and immediately there's a tracks train for you to take you up to the university.
There used to be some direct, like express bus, I think.
Yeah, the
from
two.
tracks, the 2X. to the
2X,
university.
yes.
That no longer is in service, right? So this
Correct.
would be a significant boon, I think, to the university and especially the hospital employees.
Like you can
To be able to
argue,
connect
I mean,
that.
this one does technically connect. It's just at North Temple.
What-
But I understand your point. It's more convoluted.
Well, you
Are
also
you-
have to think about the time of day that people are
Yeah.
connecting. So, you're talking like 6 a.m.
Mhm.
and also like later at night. And
Yeah.
so that's not the nicest connection.
Oh no, I'm not saying I think it's
Yeah, yeah.
great. I'm just
But that's
saying
why
it
I
is
like saying-
technically there.
Yeah. I'm saying that's why it's not used.
Yeah.
It's there, but it's not used.
Yeah.
because-
Are you talking, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because somebody muted me. I had, that where does would the orange line go exactly where the red line is going?
So
Up to the university?
So yeah, in every scenario, the orange line is connecting. Well, actually, I don't know if it's there. Yeah. So in every scenario, it's the airport to the U.
Okay.
And yeah, sorry, I just muted you because it was like you were moving and it was getting a little clunky. But yeah, so in every scenario, it's the airport to the U. It's just really the question of which other routes would be taking this kind of granary extension. That's the question.
Okay. Because my grandson who goes to the U doesn't use the train because it stops at the stadium and then it goes up to the hospital, and it doesn't help you when you're on the other side of campus at all.
Yeah, and that is another, and I'm not sure where this one is at, but there was a discussion about having it go either or, if there might be a red line that goes to Research Park. So there's that, and I don't know that it's in this particular feasibility study or not, but I know that there was discussion that it's like, if we're going to spend this money to change this, then this really should be a full university plan, right? So that it's basic. So basically, there will be train service throughout the entire campus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was part of this feasibility study.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that's been brought up as something that should happen with this.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
So then the last thing I wanted to discuss, I think it's part of that 7-day challenge and the petition thing, but
Yeah.
the legislature is going to be in session here pretty soon.
Mhm.
And besides the governor's budget, is there anything that we need to watch out for or advocate for or do anything as part of this session?
I mean, there's always something, right? I haven't heard anything specifically. That being said,
So can we set up a little alarm bell thing or notice email chain or something that if anybody hears of anything or that we need to get on that they're talking about, let's do it.
yeah, we can certainly.
With the gondola and the lawsuit and all of the shenanigans they have up there, it's just crazy.
Yeah, we can definitely keep an eye out.
I said this before, I'll say it again. I don't think the gondola is going to be built. Because it's scheduled to start to be built in 2042. And in 20 years, there's not going to be any snow up in those mountains to justify my guess is in 20 years, that's probably going to be a $3 to $4 billion project.
Yeah, but they are not limited by what makes sense.
This is very true.
Well, this is true, but I mean, I don't, and I mean, it could still be built, but I don't think it's going to be built with UDOT funds. I think that if it's built, there's a potential that there, I mean, potentially there could be federal funds, but just the whole idea, in looking at the plan, I think that what UDOT, where UDOT is going to make their connections, and where the developers or whoever is going to make the money is going to be on the bus system that is supposed to roll out in 2025. And what's interesting about that is that is not going to be handled by UTA. That's going to be handled by a as unnamed provider of transportation. And so my personal feeling is that somebody said somewhere is that the gondola sounds nice, but what they're really interested in is having those express buses, because then they no longer have to charge what they're charging in the UTA system. They can increase the fares. They can have dedicated buses. I really think that is where the project is going to end up, as far as it'll be that will be the primary mode of getting people up and down the canyon, but it'll be operated by a third party, not UTA.
Okay, well, we're going to mark that down and check your scores later.
We'll check in 40 years or 20 years.
Well, 2025, 2026, assuming this.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
So these are all recorded. We'll check it in YouTube in 2 years. All right. Well, we are over on time. Unless there's anything pressing, I think we'll go ahead and call it. I've got my marching orders. I will be sure to start getting everything out. But first of all, Randy, thank you for the space.
Yeah, I hope this worked out okay. We had to scramble for the AV solution here, but it seems like it's working out.
Yes,
It's a nice space.
it is a nice space. And so I think we will continue to have virtual and where possible in person as well. And yeah, we won't see each other. So everybody have you happy holidays, have a happy good New Year. And we will be in touch via email on all of the things.
Great.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Yep. Happy holidays. See everybody later.
Motion to close.
Oh yeah, I guess we do need that. Is all in favor of that?
Was it on the, if it's on the agenda, you
Did I
just.
put it? I'm sure I did.
I'll make a motion to
Bill has made a
If-
motion.
Bill made the
if it's-
motion.
If it's
Bill
on
made the
the
motion. Randy
agenda,
seconded.
Okay.
if it's on the agenda, you don't need the motion.
Okay.
I say nay. I wanna
Regardless,
be
it's
here all
all
night.
on there. Is there any objections? I'm hearing
Thank
none.
you.
Okay, bye.
Nay.
All right.
See ya.
No.
Good night. Happy holidays,
See ya.
everybody.
Happy holidays.